All right. Hello.
All right, we're ready to go. All right. This list was shouting at me.
Mm.
Um, it. I had to whittle it down because there were so much. These, I'm sure we'll get into them when we're talking about these. Probably some other stuff that came up, but these were the ones that were screaming the loudest. But there was so much more. The first one is welcome back your missing pieces.
Mm.
That's a good one.
That.
So this one is, doesn't matter who you are, your missing pieces are searching you out. They're ready to recombine. Now, whether or not you do it is up to you, and how difficult and how painful it is up to you.
Mm-hmm.
You can relax and let it happen and still deal with some discomfort and relax into that discomfort and accept it and don't turn your head away from it. But realize it's coming together for your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And be welcoming to it. The welcome part is very important, to be welcoming those pieces that have been missing from you for many, many, many lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
So and you'll see by some of these others that they kind of go together.
Mm-hmm.
I've been feeling that just integration, complete and total integration is what's been happening to me lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't criticize yourself.
Exactly. No judgment.
When you realize well into it, oh, I wish I would have done this. It's okay to go, I wish I would have done this, but keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Keep moving, because everything is happening kind of like in circular and whatever. You'll have plenty of times to get this exactly right, but
those wish I wouldas are the things that'll hang you up if you let them.
Exactly.
Those wish I wouldas are criticisms of yourself. Like I feel like through this whole journey, being easy on yourself is the best thing you can do with anything you're going through.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And we focus on not judging others, and it's a lot of times even we're good at not judging others, but we're terrible at judging ourselves.
Right, I know. And typically people who do judge others are that much more critical on themselves. They're whatever's going outward, I think internally is like majorly, much more. I can't think of my words right now.
Yeah, so it's welcoming all that back. And I agree with the welcome part, because the resistance is what will make it more difficult. Like you said, you can make it as easy or as difficult.
The important thing is not perfection, because what we think of as perfection is 3D perfection, and that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I feel like part of the process is you have to completely be broken down before you could even face that in the proper way to heal. Because if you're not broken down, you're not going to be able to see it for what it is. You'll be too critical of it and to run from it too hard. So it's like almost you have to break down completely to be able to allow yourself to put it back.
Yeah, it's your attachments. It's all of us are dealing with attachments. It's not that the attachments, the objects themselves are bad or good or whatever. It's what the attachment does to you. We attached them when we were broken. So now we need to detach from all of them and then add back the ones that we want and have intention behind, and then add them back the way we want them to us,
right,
but not as attachments, as accompaniment.
Right.
Yep. As choices.
There's a big difference. Attachment says, I can't do this without that. I can't do that without this. It's realizing you can do whatever you want. You want to bring these along with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not letting what it is define. It's like, I can't live without this, or I can't do without that, or I'm known for this, so if that goes away, it's all of those defining things about who you are that
Right.
Right.
some of the stuff that's going to come in for you can be far away from what you thought you were, or what you held yourself out to be, or whatever people know you as, those kind of things. And the harder that you hold on to that, or try to shield that, or move it away, the more difficult it is, and the bigger the breakdown. Because when you said that, Jenny, about breakdown, I think we can decide how big our breakdown needs to be. So
Right.
just a nudge, or a flag that goes up, or we can keep holding on, and that rock bottom is harder to hit. It's going to be more higher in severity to wake you up to it.
Yeah, and like I said, the object that you're attached to is not the important thing. It's your attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Attachments, anything that we attach to has an energy signature based on that attachment. It's the attachment energy that is low frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Breaking those attachments allows us to bring them back in a higher frequency and to work in our favor instead of dragging us
Mm-hmm.
back.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's going to be important about how we view ourselves moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because if only you can decide what's an attachment and what you're bringing along as an accompaniment. No one can do that for you. You've got to decide, is that thing an attachment? Is it actually slowing you down, or is it just accompanying you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I've had to recalibrate my relationships, especially with my oldest daughter. Just instead from being codependent to now we have a very co-creative relationship, and it's so much more fun and just feels better. It's a night. And that's how I'm trying. It's harder with the younger ones, being where I am now, and raising them knowing what I know now. It's not harder. It's just more challenging because they need that attachment. At that age, they're supposed to have it. So teaching them how to develop it into a healthy love and not like a need, just a total need, kind of like separating.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's like recalibration.
Yeah, codependencies are going to be the hardest.
Yeah.
Because there's two parties and they latch onto each other out of mutual support.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mutual support can be a good thing, but
Right.
if it's a codependency, that has a lower frequency,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to drag you down. It's going to drag them down, and then you're going to commiserate with each other and stay in that lower frequency.
It's fear based. Yeah, it's just fear based.
Well, it's really out of lack in a way. It's that lack energy, because it's like in those type of relationships, each individual entity needs to be fully sustainable within themselves.
Right.
Anytime that they aren't fully sustainable within themselves, they're in lack. Which is what creates that, that lower vibration.
Yeah. All right. The next one is I am now.
Mm-hmm. In this very moment.
So it is the I am presence now.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what that is. If you've done any reading on I am, all of that energy, all of that recognition, all of that awareness, and bringing it into the now. That is happening now. And whether or not you are facing it or facing away from it, it will not leave you. It will pester you. It will seem to drive you crazy. It will push and prod you to the highest frequency you can obtain. That it is actually you doing it to you.
Yeah.
But it is happening now. And that now is as big or small as you make it. What you put into it. Avoidance is its own energy.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that.
Yeah. I feel like I'm changing from moment to now, almost like a cartoon mask, like, you know, because I'm so different every moment. From you never know who I'm in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's happening very rapidly, and I'm not the same like as I was yesterday or even this morning, you know, to the point where sometimes I'm like, was that a whole day ago or what, you know? It's crazy.
Those are the steps of now.
Yeah.
You're stepping, and each step is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you will continue to do it as you travel into your full being, gathering up all your missing pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So people can avoid, they can turn their head, they can
Mm-hmm.
do whatever, and that will determine how difficult or painful this is going to be. No one can tell you how to do it or exactly. The best things you can do is watch yourself as you do it
Mm-hmm.
and realize what you're doing so that
Mhm.
you can unravel. There's no manual for it. It is inside you. It's like a musician writing a piece of music and realizing they play something and then they go, oh, that last note, that's not right.
Mm-hmm.
And then they play it again with a new note and they're like, that's not quite right. And then they play it again and they get, oh, okay, that, and then they keep continuing, excuse me, trying to find the right notes for the purpose of that song,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that song is. And right now, we're writing that song. It's already been written. We're just relearning it so that we can express it.
Like interpreting it now, learning the notes, learning how to read the music.
Right.
Yeah. And we've been tuning our instruments is what comes to me. We've been working on the tuning of our instruments so that whenever that, you know, song is played, it's played with the proper sound resonance and frequency. That's of highest alignment, because if you're not tuning your instrument, you're going to try to play the song, but it's not going to resonate out the vibration and the frequency the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're actually tooting your own horn.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're doing it for your highest good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't need to tell anyone about it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you probably won't be able to find the words,
Mm-hmm.
but you can congregate together and share the energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
What the words you say don't really don't matter that much. Mm-hmm. It's just being in the presence of others who are also doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's the whole story around the Pied Piper, you know, in a way for a reason, because what frequency you're emitting is going to call in to the beings and the people and others that are attuned to that frequency. So you don't have to verbally tell people. People can feel it. You know, they just don't know why they want to be there, why they called you, or, you know, you just think kind of thing.
The next one is all the doors, nooks, and crannies, etc., thrown open, and the trash is to be recycled.
Nice.
So like this is going
complete
on.
Transparency.
Yeah, this is going on right now. Not everyone will see it that way from the start, even though this has been ongoing for some time. Those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear will know this. They'll know that it's been ongoing. But it's what you see externally is what's going on internally. Mm-hmm. So if you're seeing the trash being taken out, things being recycled, and it seems good, that's what's going on inside you. If it seems chaotic and a mess and painful and whatever, that's what's going on. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means you're having to reorganize inside yourself And what you see externally is going to mirror that until you start to get your frequency kind of rising. And then things will start to not necessarily settle down, but it will start feeling more like, yeah, this is good. This is going the way it needs to go. Because before we can clean up all this mess that's going on here energetically, we have to go through some hiccups and a little bit of pain and restructuring. And that is, for some people, is going to feel like it's bad, feel like it's negative, when it's only negative when you focus on that negativity.
Right.
You can be the observer and you can see that going on and go, wow, someone's having a tough time over there. I wish them well. And then focus on your good.
Right.
Yes.
Rather than taking.
Oh, I typically roll.
Instead of taking on their pain, what they're experiencing, not to diminish what they're experiencing.
Right.
But you don't have to feel it as if it were happening.
I feel like pity and worry and all that is kind of dangerous. I'm pretty good at not doing it. I used to be a big worry wart and pity, all kinds of pity, but it's an energy that it puts an energy pocket out that's not healthy. So I don't like to tell people anything about me who would worry about me too. If I know they're going to worry, or I think we've talked about this before a lot of times. I just won't even share anything with them because I don't want that kind of energy coming anywhere near me. I don't want to create it for someone else either.
Yeah, the energies coming in now are bringing all those feelings of pity or whatever, bringing them out, and whoever has them, and making you face them, making you reconcile them, transmute them into what you want your now to be.
Yeah.
So if something comes up, if you're, feeling pretty good and all of a sudden something comes up that's a little bit darker, a little bit lower frequency, don't get spooked. It's coming up for a reason. It's coming up so you can deal with it, so you can transmute it and put it in its proper place.
Yeah, because to look at it, you can look at it and go, you have a choice then. You can let it play out the lower vibration, or you can say, is there a higher way of looking at what this is? And sometimes that means you need to pull back from it a little bit and look at it in context of other things. But it's in that, it kind of ties to the I am now. It's trying to sit in that wisdom and understanding, what is this, what's really happening here, or what is this a metaphor for, and how do I raise my orientation to it, or my thoughts about it, so that my frequency raises. Because the propensity is when it's faced with that, and you have others who are kind of facing with that too, you can kind of get drugged into that lower, that lower vibrational aspect of it, versus looking at it and seeing more the higher vibration, or the beauty, or just something a notch higher even is better than dropping into that.
Yeah, and just think, everything that you can perceive out there is yours. The issue is they're not in their proper place within you, so they're not resonating at the proper frequency for you. Because inside us, we all have what we consider bad, neutral, and good.
Right.
We all have that. But actually, none of it is bad or good.
It just is.
It's just you expressing yourself. But now universe is shaking us up to say, okay, it's time to move on to the next phase. Before we can, you need to get all your toys and put them in the proper place, so that you know where they are for this new phase. And you will feel cleaner. You will resonate a higher frequency, which means you will have less of the envy and fear and scarcity and whatnot, because all that was pushed on us to stay in the old frequencies, the old lower frequencies.
Yeah.
And now all those are being shaken up so that we can transmute them, put them in the proper place inside us, and so we can move on to a higher frequency. So the next one is give thanks to all those who are playing or have played their roles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No matter what they've done to you, it's not about them. It's about you.
Right.
It's about the way you hold them.
Mm-hmm.
So give thanks. Thanks releases their hold on you and your hold on them. Thank you for playing your role.
Yeah.
I'm gonna free you now for you to find your proper place so I can move forward.
Yes.
Yeah. And that sometimes sometimes it means they go completely out of your sphere, and sometimes it means they're still in your sphere, but you have a whole different perspective on the interaction with them, because their role that they're playing for you, you're defining. And once you say thanks and you have gratitude for it and you release it, you may see them play a completely different role. You may see them one day they're just a completely different person. You think, wow, what happened to them? It's like nothing. It happened inside you.
Right.
So, yeah.
If you love something or someone unconditionally with no ultimatums, no holds, nothing, then you let them be. You let them go to play whatever role they want to be. And that's where we are right now. That includes yourself. Free yourself by thanking yourself for having gone through what we did, and now be free to go play the role you're meant to play.
I'm lucky. I've been really able to forgive my whole life, and I've been able to love in an unconditional way. I don't know, I've been lucky that way. And I never understood why other people couldn't do that. You know, growing up when I was a little kid, and I just was able to do that. I don't know why I have been, but I always have been just super compassionate. But I was bullied too. And I think that kids, when you're bullied, you just develop you develop an empathy towards people that's different, you know. So I know that was supposed to happen so that I could learn those lessons, but I'm just grateful that I've been able to be that kind of person, even as a young child, and even going through my dark night of the soul. Not that I haven't been a huge bitch and like been horrible to many people and reacted and done all that, but I've been able to even love people who've done me wrong all the time and see the side of the other side. I've just had that gift within me. I don't know why.
Well, that's a free soul. A free soul can get damaged and be damaged for a while, yet in that damaged position, they're not the kind to drag other people down with them.
Right. Hate. I mean, you just don't have hate.
Right. So applaud yourself for being that way, but then shine your beacon for others. You don't preach to them. You just you share the energy that you are already and have been showing all your life, because you say, that's the world I want to live in. I want to live in the world where no one hates anyone, where people free other people up to think and be who they want to be, and no stipulations.
Yeah. And that's why, where that plays out, what just came up for me too is practically, when we are in communication with others, and I know everybody's experiences at one time, somebody's complaining about somebody else or talking about them or whatever, part of you can, say something, like be and say, yeah, I understand, that's just the way, and kind of agree with it tacitly. And so you're playing in that energy, just saying, setting and holding that loving space and saying, well, isn't it interesting that how that person's probably doing that because they might have this view or this view on themselves, and kind of that little bit higher view of, well, maybe why that person behaves the way they are. And then the conversation kind of shifts. Either the person complaining about that person's going to kind of shut up about it, or it makes them go, oh, and they maybe see that in a different way. But we have those conversations all the time. And what I realized was, it's in every situation you have to determine, is it worth your energy to say anything, or do you just remove yourself from it? But I don't stay in the conversation anymore, because me staying here, even if I'm not saying anything, is lending a part of my energy to that conversation.
Right. And then that's what I was taught, but like yogically, you kind of have a karmic attachment to it if you have an opinion one way or the other. then you're attached to that in
You're
some
not
sort of way.
demonstrating love.
Yep.
You're just, you're kind of like okay with the fact that love is not being spoken. And
Right.
for me, I don't feel comfortable in those situations.
I don't either.
You can love someone and disagree with them.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
How you
almost everybody I know, I love them and we disagree.
How you disagree with them
Mm-hmm.
is important.
Mm-hmm.
One view that I have is I love you, but I disagree with you, so I'm not going to lend you my energy on that area to show you my sovereignty and that I cannot get behind that because I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to give you false sense of support for you on something that I do not fully support.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yeah.
The way that I can paint with my paintbrush and show you what I really am about. You do your same. I'm not going to condemn you for doing that. But whether or not other beings support you with energy or not will determine whether that thing that you support lives on or gets morphed into some other type of energy.
Yeah, because if you go into a disagreement with the air of you're wrong and I'm right, then you're that's inherently embedded with the judgment. And so, to just go in like that is almost a battle. It's almost like you're calling
3D.
for a battle versus holding that energy of openness and
Well, it's 3D. I mean, we're judging on 3D characteristics, and we know 3D is it's a hologram, it's a matrix. So we need to drop our head evaluations, judgments on people, and open our hearts and let our hearts actually determine what our actions are. Okay, I love you, but I'm not going to support you on this thing. So I'm going to take my energy away. If you're in that space right now, I'm going over here.
Right.
I'm not going to go over here and not love you. I'm going to love you from over here while you're in that space.
Yeah.
So this is how we start to show our true selves to each other is I'm not going to lie to you anymore. I love you and you deserve truth from me. So my truth is who I am. So I'm going to show you who I am. I'm going to show you my truth. Doesn't mean you have to agree on every single point that I present. But you can show your true feelings back for me about how I'm showing my true self to you. So, all right, the next one is the council was given its the council has given its final nod. Let the games begin. So the council I was involved with, keep in mind, there are many councils that kind of rolled into this final council. This council had checked in with all the other councils and all the other agents and beings and has gotten the nod from everyone. So now there's nods of we're ready all across the board. So now let the games begin is the beauty, the ugliness, the dark, the light, it's all going to come out. And if it's yours, then it's time for you to deal with it and transmute it. If it's not yours, then you take your energy away from it. That's how you show your support or your lack of support for something. If you take your energy away from something and most everyone else does too, then that thing, whether good or bad or whatever, will start to dissipate and that energy will flow into something else.
Yeah, because if you fight it or support it. Either you're giving it energy.
Yes.
So either side of that coin.
Or even have to like explore it to death, you know, and I feel like when it's not going to do any good, except, you know, that I've seen a lot of that. And I used to be like that, but now I'm just like, I'm just not going to, I'm going to think about what I want, not what I don't want at all times.
Yeah, you got to think with your artist heart, and let your feelings be your guide about whether or not it's not about whether or not you fight it or argue against it or any of that. It's, do I even want to go there? Do I even want to be a part of that? Because if you're going to argue it, if you're going to, I'm going to stand up against that wrong.
Right.
You're still giving it energy.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, think about the wording. We say war on whatever, war on drugs, war on what. Well, it's the same kind of energy that you're being, just on what we think is the opposite side of the thing, but it's still energy.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
now we're not doing war on things. We're doing peace on things.
Yes.
We're
just righteousness. People like that righteousness feeling sometimes until they get past it.
So your existence, and putting your energy on something, whether you're doing it to combat it or whatever, that is your vote. So you can give your vote, or you can take your vote away and go put your vote on something else. So how are you presenting out there? It's not for others to judge. It's you as an artist using your creative energies to show what you are.
And is that the art? Is that the painting you want to have, or is that, is that the how you want your artwork to look? And if not, figure out where you want colors and where you want to move things around.
Well, if you've got this beautiful, piece of artwork that you've drawn about all the things you're involved in and whatnot, and yet right here on the side you've got this big wart. Are you going to let it stand? Or are you going to say, what is that? Oh, that's this thing. Oh, that's where I go over there and I argue against that. I don't like that. Well, guess what? That's still a wart on you, because you're spending your energy over there on that thing. It doesn't require you to combat it. It just, if you really want to combat it, remove your energy from it.
Right.
And the only way you can do that is if you step back and look at the whole of you and say, do I like what I see? Is this artwork what speaks to me? Or are there pieces that are warts? And then it's up to you to address those warts. So, more from the council to come. The council is us. It's all of us. It's not made up of non-beings or whatever. These are all sentient beings who all have a stake in what's going on, and none of them are into corruption or being a politician or being an untruth. They're all presenting as sovereign beings,
tapped into their source flow.
So they have been on the lookout for the timelines and the frequencies coming together, and that's what the final nod was. Is that the time, the place, the energies, the vested parties have all come together and said, okay, we're ready. So
I could feel it,
I can too. I'm like visualizing it too in my head. I'm getting pictures.
I mean, and this week, especially this week, but over the past months as well. But this week, there was one day, I don't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember which day, who knows. But I got up and I felt viscerally, I felt different. It was like, wow, something just shifted big time. And I'm like, I felt playful. I felt, it's just that kind of feeling of some chapter changed. And yeah, it's been a really fun week.
Well,
It's an interesting week.
Pay attention to what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want something that you can go get, or do you want something that someone's going to give you something?
Mm.
Because if it's the latter, you got to question it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that is a stipulation. That is a condition versus yourself putting it on you to make it happen. Because if everyone does that, we're going to change the world. And that's what we're in.
I know. Yeah, I'm making everything happen myself, and I'm feeling good about it. And I'm able to, while I'm living my timeline now, also be living in another timeline at the same time that I enjoy more. Like I can be doing things I don't like to do, like dishes or cleaning, but at the same time, I'm having my timeline in my, I'm living the other timeline while I'm doing the work here. I'm able to do that now, and that's been pretty fun.
Yeah, that's the multi-dimensional aspect of you, all the shards of you, and that's what I said. Welcome back to your missing pieces. The existence of those things are still part of you, but yet they're living separately, and the welcoming is opening the door for them to recombine with you as you ascend back to your higher self. So look to see more and more of that happening, more and more aspects of you knocking on the door to say, are you ready for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is, for your own protection, know yourself and be surrounded by love, even those who wish you ill. That's how you're going to protect yourself. No one can hurt you unless you give them the power to hurt you.
Yeah, so true.
So if you know yourself and you surround yourself by love, no one can hurt you. But you have to be sure of it. Or, well, except in this situation, it's, are you surrounded by the love you have for yourself, but the love you have for all aspects of you? Because that includes everyone. Because we're all one. That means I'm ready for all of you to recombine with me. I'm ready for all of us to live in the same community. I know you've got your issues. I know you've got your issues. I know you've got your issues. We all have issues. But let's come together so we can combine energy and clear those issues.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done.
It is.
It's hard enough to take care of this shard. But if I realize no one's going to do it for me, it's all on me, then I'm okay because I have the power. No one else has the power to do it. So now I know universe is working in my favor for all these things to come up. So I could just go, oh, okay. All right, I'll take care of that. Yep. Okay. Yep. I'm working.
Yeah. And that's the key, because if you think it's somebody else is making you angry, making you, or making you even feel loved, any of those things, you think it's somebody else doing it. No, it's you doing it all the way around.
Yeah. Anytime something happens to you and you have a thought that somebody's doing something to you, you should pause and really think about that. Anytime you have any kind of feeling that is what you would consider negative, anger, envy, jealousy, whatever, don't get mad at yourself, because that's just more. Pause and think it. That pause gives you power to start addressing it.
And you can get tools to help. I mean, it's inquiry. It's questioning your thoughts and questioning yourself and turning a mirror and looking inside. And there's a variety of different ways you can do that. And depending on your personality, you'll be attracted to some way it works for you, but just be inquisitive about, why do you feel that way? What,
Right.
that way? What is it? How can you shift that? How can you have a different perspective on that so it doesn't hurt so much? And we've been kind of told over our lifetime, well, don't fantasize and don't, well, why not? I mean, in some
Right.
cases, if it makes you feel better, it's like, okay, you're the one believing because you believe about it anyway. So if it helps you to reframe it in your mind differently so you can see it differently enough that the wall comes down, who's to say you can't do that?
Yeah. What we're going through is an awakening. Awakening is I'm no longer fully brainwashed and unpowered and following the puppet string pulls from some other entities. Awakening means I'm starting to realize that's going on, and I'm not going to keep falling victim to it. I may in some regards, but I'm opening my eyes to it. That's awakening. Becoming aware is that this next step, which is when you feel yourself triggered, whether it's anger, jealousy, anything that you feel is almost being done to you.
Right.
Becoming aware is inserting that pause so that you can then take ownership of it and transmute it. That's what awareness is, meaning no one else is going to fix me. I don't need to be fixed.
Right.
I need to become sovereign. I need to be presenting the being I want to show the world.
Right.
That's the awareness process kicking in towards your ascension to the next higher frequency inside you.
Yeah, and it links to some of our past conversations about we attract into our experience those things which match the vibration that we're at. So if it's in your sphere, it's inside, it's that
Right.
that you're saying. So the awareness is recognizing that and taking ownership of that, like you're saying, and going inside and saying, what is it that's that's shielded or darkened or out of balance or
Well, everything that we address that causes fear, envy, jealousy, well, all of those are trying to think of the terminology that I want to use. The words aren't coming to me right now. That one left me. No, it just left. I was
I know. I was like, what are we even talking about?
I know. I did the same thing. I was listening to you, and then I was like,
yeah.
No,
I got lost in the void there too.
I'm okay because that's when we talk about you get the flow or you don't get the flow. If you get the flow, ride it.
Yeah.
If you don't get the flow, if you keep trying, it's just going to become more and more difficult. It's going to keep fighting.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to fight that one. That one's
something there.
Yeah. So
not ready yet or something.
The next one is, and this one is multifaceted. Don't be afraid to say hi.
Okay.
Okay. So
I can see several ways.
So it's not the words you say, it's oh, I know what I was going to say on that last one, and this kind of goes with it. It's attitude. We get a certain attitude towards something, and that causes anger. That causes. So it's not you fixing the anger or whatnot. It's actually fixing the attitude.
Right.
It's saying, gosh, my next door neighbor just every time they slam the trash can lid, it just irritates me.
Yeah.
And there's an attitude behind that. It's not the details, it's the attitude. that causes these things.
Mhm.
Well, where did that attitude come from?
Mhm.
Well, it probably came from some kind of programming that even if you don't, it's like, oh, someone's slamming a trash can lid. I mean,
Mm.
but think about it. How did that get there? But that's where you can start to really unravel. If you keep telling yourself, well, don't get angry every time she does that.
Yeah.
But then the next time she does it, you get angry again.
Yeah.
So you haven't really fixed it. It's realizing, it's putting it into perspective. Same thing with saying hi. If now when I walk down the street, I see my neighbors, I'm going to say hi, even if they don't say hi back. Hi.
Right.
Right.
It's not me saying hi that's important. It's the energy. I'm
Mhm.
actually saying, I've got energy I want to show you.
Mhm.
You can you can find your own way to have this good
Mhm.
energy. I want to share it with you, even if you don't want to be a part of it. You can tell me, no, I'm still reaching out this far to you.
Mhm.
If you want to meet me, then you can say hi back.
Yeah.
That's how I trigger people, by being annoyingly nice and positive. Apparently, that people do not care for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this also extends to ET beings.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So be prepared to get shocked.
Yeah.
Because that shock is you unraveling an attitude.
Yeah, because even what came to me with even the garbage can, lid. There's some, like you said, some programming in there that says, you know, that said that wasn't a good thing. Somewhere
Mhm.
along the path has said that. So the ET beings, there's somewhere in there that's told us, beings that look like this are scary, or beings that look, like this are out to get you, And so those programming pieces in there are pieces that we've received over our lifetime, and we'll be confronted with those. Sometimes it might be fear, sometimes that might be, you know, nervousness or excitement or whatever it is. There's a reason why behind that, why we have that reaction to those things.
Well, you also think about, for the longest time, I hadn't heard we are one.
Right.
I hadn't heard that, even though I still there. I wished everyone could get along and whatnot,
Mhm.
but there were still people that could piss me off or whatever. But then I started reading articles recently about we are one, and yeah, I I get it, but am I living it? No, I'm not really
Mhm.
living it. I understand that perspective,
Mhm.
but I'm not really living it yet. But as I hear it more and more, I start to dive a little bit deeper into it. What it is, it's an attitude change. I'm
Mhm.
actually learning and accepting an attitude change, because once I accept not just the understanding of it, but actually now I've incorporated in my life that we are all one. How could I be mean to that person or
Exactly.
that person? Because they are just like me. They are part of me. That would be like me smacking my own face
Mhm.
by treating them bad. If I'm going to treat everyone the same as I would treat myself, first I got to fix myself.
Mhm.
To fix meaning make me the way I want to be, and then be that way towards others. And if they want a part of it, great. We can combine forces and share energy. If they don't, then I give them their space. They have that.
Yeah, and the triggers like you're talking about really show you where you're not doing that for yourself internally. So if you can't love that person for what they're doing, you can flip flop it around in your analysis and realize that you are also holding some belief buried in there about yourself, that you're not
Right.
loving yourself. And so if you can clear that away, then all of a sudden you can love that person a lot easier
Yes.
Well,
without effort.
you'll find that you have the ingredients to unravel an attitude. You
Mhm.
may have an attitude that, you know, this person is horrible because they do such and such.
Mhm.
But then you look at, in general, I think everyone should get along. I think everyone should be
Mhm.
happy with everyone else, and you've got all the ingredients to unravel that attitude about that one person
Mhm. Yep.
or that group of people.
Mhm.
So it's finding those pieces of you that you can roll up, and where you can see a discrepancy between those pieces and that attitude. And then you can make a decision. Which one's more important, that attitude or these pieces you found that counter that attitude?
Yeah.
Right.
I think these are all coming up. So that's why we have to transmute everything. You can try to do it piecemeal, but since everything inside you is interconnected, it's going to be hard to do that. Because as soon as you start pulling on this string, you start realizing it's pulling this and this and this and this and this all into the same view. And you realize I can't just work on that without working on this and this and this and that. And it's not complicated. It is if your head's trying to do it, but your heart is multidimensional. It can multitask like our heads can't.
Yeah.
So the don't be afraid to say hi is you putting out your welcome mat for anyone, for anything,
well, that's funny. Now my house flies, I've been naming them and having conversations with them, and when they would fly near me, I'd be like, oh, it used to be, like that. Now I'm just like, okay. And they don't really do it as much anymore because they know I don't like it. But so I've been talking to bugs in my house. I just let it go, and they don't bother me anymore. So
yeah, exactly.
And they don't really come out as much anymore too, but
yeah, we do that with our cockroaches.
Well, you guys gave me the idea.
Yeah, we've been doing that because we realize that's life.
Yeah.
Life. How it's not them that's important. It's my attitude towards them, and then realizing, is that attitude really part of me? Is that really the way I believe and think? What if that inch-long palmetto bug was actually 6 feet tall and had sentient and could actually communicate with me? Would I try to stomp on it then?
What I had said to him is I was like, they're kind of testing us because it's like, okay, Joe, it's your time to go out and see
if she's ready.
She's ready to communicate. Oh no, she squished Joe. She's not ready yet. Because they could be, we assume that, any other being is going to be our size or bigger than us or, whatever. And who knows, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, you don't, we don't actually at this level really pick the way we're confronted with life. And I don't mean your life, just your life. I mean other life coming into your energy bubble. So if a being who, is just an inch long and wants to come say hi, are you going to crush them?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I believe there are going to be other beings watching going, don't go near her.
It's like a beep, bye, boom, boom. I mean, it reminded me of Jack and the Beanstalk, chasing the,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't want to be that.
So I'm opening my attitude about saying hi. And that doesn't mean I'm going to be perfect with it, but I want to notice when I don't say hi, so I can go, why didn't I say hi to that person?
Yeah.
Or why did I miss that opportunity? That was an opportunity missed. Yeah, they may have just looked at me funny or whatnot, but it is their attitude a control mechanism on me?
Right.
Or am I going to take sovereign ownership of this and saying, no, this is the way I want to present myself, is by saying hi to everyone. That doesn't mean I get to say whether or not they say hi to me.
Right.
What that kind of feels like, and what's coming for me, is that's how your heart stays open. Because if we're like choosing when we have a heart open toward a being and heart closed, we're constantly open, closed. Oh, I'm going to judge by that whether I'm going to have it closed or open, versus just going around with an open heart, knowing that anything. Because I think for me personally, I needed to shield it, because I needed to feel like I needed to protect myself against pain.
Right.
As I've learned a lot more about myself, if I feel pain or some discomfort with that open heart being open, there's a lesson there for me versus closing the heart. And I'm not perfect at it, and I still do it. And it's like you read the energy, and then you go, I'm gonna close
Right.
that. It's like, how do you read the energy and you still keep your heart open? That is the challenge or the opportunity.
I think once the knowledge starts pouring into us, and I'm not talking about head knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Once the knowledge starts pouring into us, we're going to realize love does not need protection.
Right.
Love takes care of itself. You can either nurture it and welcome it into you and then express it, or you're thinking that you're protecting your heart is actually closing yourself off to the universal love.
Exactly.
So I want to open my heart to love. So that also means being in the now, presenting love.
Yes.
Because you can't just allow it in and not allow it out, because then you'll fill up and you won't go anywhere. You won't be. It's the universe is built on getting and giving.
Right.
It's moving energy around.
Yeah.
Yep. Motion.
Right. Well, I want to be a part of the love energy, not a part of the darker energies. I'm not saying all that dark energy is a part of me, but I get to decide how I'm going to express it, how I'm going to keep things in check and balance. That's up to me. No one else gets to say that. So I can have some feelings of I don't know, a little bit on the darker side, but that doesn't mean I have to wallow in it. That doesn't mean I have to go around expressing that. What I'm going to do is start starving it a little bit so it finds its proper place inside me to say, there, that's where you belong. Even though that's part of me, my advocates, my proxies are going to be love and understanding and compassion, empathy.
And it can be just like we were saying, I was getting a feeling earlier. It doesn't mean that you go from this level to this level,
Right.
It can be that you just do one notch up, and keep each time you run into that, you're addressing it until you can get to the point where it doesn't really, you can let it flow through you without any kind of negative effect or depleting of your energy.
It's growth. I mean, growth signifies that you're moving. The universe is about moving energy, and that's what growth is. Stagnation, the universe doesn't abide stagnation very well. It'll let you stay there for a little bit, but really, are you really staying there? A lot of times you're just looping around, but eventually, the universe is going to come bump you. And I think that's what's going on with our society here on this planet. It's getting bumped by universe saying, okay, enough of that stagnation and whatnot. You guys got the message that things can be much worse and they can get downright ugly, but you've seen and experienced enough of that. Now it's time to go back. You'll appreciate the higher energies and the love flow that the universe is actually backed by.
What came to my head as you were talking about is thinking about, our circulatory system, and, blood flows through the body. It brings life and carries away things. And when you stop that flow of blood, your system doesn't last, and that's kind of what's happening. We've been squeezing off our flow of energy in our society. And now it's to the point that it's
busting out.
It's busting out. We're going to have a heart attack and it's going to die, or it's going to, clear out. And I think we're holding that energy of health and, healthy emotionally, healthy interactively, healthy energy levels. And it's freeing up some of that debris that's in there to let that blood flow clear out that path of the energies. Yeah.
So all the things that all the thoughts and wishes you've had since you were a child about, I wish everyone could get along. I wish
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wish families were happier. I wish, you know, schools didn't make me feel this way. I wish adults didn't act that way. All that now is busting out.
Yeah.
It's so now we can define where it's going. There is no set standard and template that says, okay, now we're just moving from this template to that template.
Right.
No, it's actually up to us.
Yeah.
But the universe doesn't know what you want just by you saying some words. It looks at your intention. That's how that's the language of the universe is your feelings and intentions.
What's going to attract into you at what that vibration level you're at. So if you're at that low vibration level, you could call, you know, we've talked about several times, how do we not recreate the problems that we've had in this old, you know, these old systems, and the recreation is done through what we attract. So the most we can do is working on ourselves, get our, you know, sovereignty and our vibration to the point that it's at a higher vibration, and we will call those things that will culminate into the higher level and better system than what we otherwise we will create. You know, we'll keep creating systems that are low vibration
because your higher being's not going to meet you down there. You have to get up there to get to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this rolls into the last one. Pretty good. Artificial light may go out, but natural light will shine.
Yeah.
So this is very symbolic in many different areas. Artificial light is still light, but it may not be what we think it is. We see it with our 3D eyes and think that it's shining the light for us to travel, when in fact it may not be, because we're not looking at it with our third eye or with, you know, beyond 3D. But beyond 3D in the universe, universal light, natural light shines. It shines, except for where it doesn't. And where it doesn't is that will attract those beings that feel negative. Light, universal light, will attract people who feel that way, who like attracts alike in that regard. So this one kind of says, are you going to stay in 3D artificial light, or are you going to open your heart to find the natural light that really will show who you really are? And it'll also present the foundation for where we as a species want to go with that natural light. Because we've been living in an artificial, enlightened, I say that mockingly.
It's very metaphorical. I mean, just because like when you're in an office building, that artificial light makes you feel terrible, gives you headaches, you know, and then when you get out to the natural light, it makes you feel good and alive. Right. So it
doesn't have all the vitamins and beneficial properties, you know, or prompt your system to produce that. The artificial light doesn't. So we operate on not a replenishing, sustainable thing when we're in that artificial state.
And you can't see everything in that kind of light until you get to the natural light. You can see what you need to see. So
exactly. I mean, it's just like manufactured anything versus natural anything. Your body doesn't. This being does not process and, you know, utilize artificial things appropriately, that spins off byproducts and negative things and, you know, stuff like that happens. And same thing with artificial light. There's sticking points and, you know, frustrations and everything else that can come up from it.
Yeah, artificial light in 3D is meant to benefit 3D. It's not meant to actually go beyond 3D. But we as beings are multi-dimensional. And
Mhm.
so 3D light, you know, the artificial light, it can serve a purpose,
Mhm.
but it's 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 like a rock. I can use it to crush something, but do I really want to go around using that rock to you
Mhm.
know, as a hammer and a screwdriver and a
Mhm.
scalpel and all these other things? No, there are we have many more options out there if we can open our eyes and our heart to what's available.
Yeah. Metaphorically, what came up too was artificial light keeps us from seeing other things. So I think about when we look at the sky in an area like where we live, you can see some stars, but you go out to somewhere in the middle of nowhere where there's no light around, like if you go out west where there's vast areas where there's no civilization.
No
You
light
can
pollution.
see,
Yes.
I mean, you can see the colors and so there's so much the artificial life force masks, so you can't really feel the vastness of that true natural light force and all the possibilities that are associated with it until you hook up to that natural light force.
Right.
This is the way it was coming through for me.
Yeah,
I
I
was
mean,
I was thinking, I was feeling that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that you know, you can hear a lot of people, especially the new age people and the people who are becoming aware and whatnot, doing videos and writing articles to say get out in nature more.
Mhm.
That's symbolic. I'm not saying being out in nature isn't going to be good for you. It probably will be. It would be very good for you.
Hmm.
But it's symbolic to say drop your dependency on artificial light,
Hmm.
open your heart to natural light,
Hmm.
to things of natural
Yeah.
tendencies
Right.
out there that are now ready to enter your energy circle
Hmm.
and join with you. Because right now we don't even know people are, you know, beings are knocking
Hmm.
because we're evaluating everything in artificial light.
Yeah. And we're distracted and, feeding our system, our energy force with artificial energy sources, not
Mhm.
natural. Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's like switching. Also, the metaphor came through. It's like switching over from being if you have an engine that runs on gasoline and you're going to switch it to run on diesel. I mean, everything has to switch, or you're going to switch it to run on something else. Some kind of water, let's say. All the systems have to switch over, and so that's what we're in the process of doing. We've been living on the artificial life force, and
Mhm.
now it's like changing our operating system, our plumbing, our everything, and the way we see the world, the way we energize ourselves, the way we balance ourselves into the point where we're doing it from the natural light, which is a sovereign being, is that um, ability to take care of yourself and know yourself
Yeah.
is critical for that. Yeah.
well, it's like Jesus in the Bible when people questioned him about the miracles he was performing. He's saying, "You will perform these and more
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
when you're ready."
Yep.
When you're ready. But
Yep.
we, in this artificial light, we've been told that we're this small
Mm-hmm.
and that you can only do this.
Mm-hmm.
And they throw these little, you know, small, small things to you like, you can be president if you want, if you put your mind to it. Still
Yeah.
aiming really
Yeah.
low.
Yeah.
Do you have a need to be president, for one thing?
Right.
I don't. I don't have a
No.
need to be president. I have a want to know what I'm about
Mm-hmm.
and where am I going and what are
Mhm.
my options and capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And that knowledge is coming through natural light
Mm-hmm.
to those who open their hearts to it.
Mhm.
You're just going to know things.
Mm-hmm.
Things are just coming online. You're just going to know not to do that anymore and to do that or take this and put that. It's not someone else's programming. It's
Mm-hmm.
your actual motivations becoming true instead
Mm-hmm.
of following along brainwashed motivations and stipulations and all that. Now the natural light is actually starting to show your true motivations and your true intent.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm thinking our glow. We're getting our glow on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
So and how can you get a glow on without wanting to go around and say hi to everyone?
Exactly.
Hey neighbor,
You can't.
love you too.
Let's hug.
Yeah. So we're learning how to love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've forgotten how to love. They the system pushed an idea of love that wasn't really love.
Mm-hmm.
Because all that love had stipulations and
You complete
conditions.
me.
Yeah,
Right.
conditions. Yeah, someone can't make you happy.
Mm-mm.
There's nobody out
No.
there that's going to make you happy. I don't care who they are. I don't care. Whatever. It will run out, and the falseness of it will shine through.
And when someone's responsible for your happiness, then they're equally as responsible for your unhappiness.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And that's not sovereignty. Not at all.
So that's where we're at. We're developing our sovereignty, finding out what we truly support and what we don't support, and then using our vote on those things to show what and who we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and voting with removal from those things versus the fighting of, those things that we don't want or that we're not liking. So it's a different approach. And actually it's more in line with the feminine energy approach as well, of how we deal with situations versus the fight and, like charge kind of approach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, universal language is pretty easy, pretty clear. The trouble is we haven't been speaking it.
Yeah.
We've been dealing with the old paradigm language,
Mm-hmm.
where we keep saying what we don't want.
Yeah.
And the universe keeps saying it to us because it doesn't understand I don't want.
It doesn't understand.
Right.
Yeah. It only understands where you
They're
put
like, oh,
your
they're
energy.
focusing on that. Let's give them that.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of focusing on what you don't want, focusing on what you do want and putting your vote on that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a language the universe understands.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's the life giving. That's the energy where your energy will rise.
Well, it's future building. You're building your future by telling the universe, this is what I want.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I want. This is what I want. And not focusing on what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just, universe doesn't understand that. It just says, oh.
More of the same.
That's what Abraham refers to it as vibrational escrow. What are you putting into your vibrational escrow? Basically, that's what you're creating and bringing to yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's it for me, even though I had a lot more, but I think we covered quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was good.
Very good.
Yeah, I feel the spirit of oneness permeating now. It's gliding through and around us, and where it finds sparks, it will linger and start to pull oneness towards more oneness.
Mm-hmm.
So it's focusing on people that are focusing on what they want.
Mm-hmm.
There is no good or bad. There's just what you want and moving towards that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Fun time. So are you have anything else, Jenny, before I
No, I'm good. That's good for me.
hold on just a moment.